Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of CVs or Creators Value. I'm your host, Francis. At Creators Value, we believe in collaboration, growth, and storytelling. CVs is basically a space where creators share their journey behind their craft, the lessons they've learned, and the value they bring to the world. Now, today, our team is extremely excited because we have somebody so energetic. Joining us is the incredible Steve Strangio, a talented creator, writer, innovator, and producer. Steve is the mind behind Super Mega Trivia Slam and Zone Ball. We're excited to dive into his story and explore what fuels his passion. Steve, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. That was an amazing introduction. I feel so great about myself right now.
Truth be told, Steve, our team is quite a little bit pressured because we know how amazing you are. You have a rich background, so no BS about that. Like, seriously.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that, and I love the professionalism you guys have towards all of this. So thank you.
Yeah, having said that, to our viewers, Steve, you have such a rich background in entertainment, in sports innovation, and in writing. Yeah. We will dive right away. How would you describe your journey, though? Like, what are the key experiences that led you to where this rich multitude of talent and background? What has led it to what it is right now?
Well, thank you. I mean, I kind of attribute a lot of it to me being an only child, and an only child. My parents had me late in life. They were 30 when they had me. They were told they couldn't have kids around age 30. My mom had me, So my mother and my father were the epitome of opposites attract. My dad was really into sports, a manly man, and my mom was really into entertainment, a former cheerleader. My dad immigrated here from Italy, and he was, when he was 15, he came here to Italy, met my mom in the 20s, and he was just like a hot rod and macho guy, and mom was a cheerleader, it was basically Grease. It was basically the movie Grease. And my mom basically indoctrinated me into the whole world of entertainment. She loved watching movies with me, taking me to plays, getting me involved in stuff like that, sit and watch. I mean, my television addiction came from my mom because I just loved getting into stories. And then with my dad, he was always playing soccer. So he would take me to all of his soccer games. And at the end of every soccer game, he would sit there and just dissect every detail of that game with his teammates. And I would sit there and watch him. So I kind of took from both worlds, and kind of grew. And it brought me to my very first time on stage professionally when I was 17 years old. So it was fun. I was doing stand-up comedy when I was 17 for my first time on stage. I literally convinced people at my college that I was a professional stand-up comedian. At the time I wasn't. And I auditioned for them. I just kind of, improv, free associated like crazy. And they're like, okay, great. You can open up, the comedy show. And it was my first time on stage. It was in front of 300 people. And it was opening up for all of the popular comedians of the time. I had no idea I was going to do that. I went up there and I killed. I felt great. Yeah. And it kind of launched me into the world of Long Island stand-up comedy. So I guess stand-up comedy was the first foray into it. But I didn't want to be known as, just a stand-up comic, which is fine. I wanted to do more.
Oh, okay. Because, I was about to ask, how has it been growing up in Long Island? For sure, it has inspired you with your family, with your mom and your dad. Yeah. You created Zone Ball and Super Mega Trivia Slam. In fact,
we gotta say it. Let's say it together. Super Mega Trivia Slam. That's how you say it.
Super Mega Trivia Slam. Okay, sorry, you said it together.
Perfect. I love that.
My bad.
I love that. Yeah.
I was laughing so hard. I was watching the episode when you did the movie line.
Yeah.
Or Nicolas Cage.
Movie line or Nicolas Cage. I love Nicolas Cage. In an interview or in a movie, I can't tell if he's actually quoting lines from a movie or if he's really saying stuff. Yeah, that's where it came from. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because how do you process the development of these ideas? Do you just get inspired by the characters, or and how do you stand out in creating your storyline of all, say, in the Trivia Slam?
Let's talk about Super Mega Trivia Slam. That was born out of certain things. I used to work for the WWE, as some people may or may not know. Back in 1999, 2001, I worked for them, and I created and hosted something called the SmackDown Party. And it was on Thursday nights, and they would show SmackDown, on the big, gigantic 30-foot screen, and I was the host. So I needed to do things, I would like a superstar would show up and the fans, and I was a fan of WWE for a really, really long time. I got to live the dream of actually working for them. And I wanted to do some trivia, ahead of time. And usually when you do trivia, you have to call on people, have to write stuff down. I was like, no, screw that. I just want people to get involved. So I just had them shouting out answers. Okay. So I was kind of the raw version of it. And I would create an immersive experience for all the WWE fans. I would have them write questions and talk to the superstar, and then they'd come out and do Q&A, and then they would do a autograph signing afterwards. So it was a totally immersive experience. You have to get the crowd. Now, for a long time, I hosted trivia, regular trivia. And at times I felt like I was a teacher in front of a class, because
right.
They had to be quiet. They couldn't use their phones. They had to write down the answers and put them into a phone, an app. I was like,
or an app, yeah.
This is kind of boring. We're supposed to be having fun here. So during the pandemic, I went to a place over here, Paradise Studios in Massapequa, and I got to walk in, and there was literally nobody showing up for anything anymore during the pandemic. But I wanted to expand this idea. So I went to the guy and went, listen, I have this idea. I want to do a trivia show where I'm talking right at the camera, okay? And people are home, and that can get them involved. I can be their virtual trivia show host, and they can actually play trivia with me shouting it out. I didn't want it to be just a trivia show, so I kept calling it a game show, and then I started calling it a party game, because in party games, you always get people involved, okay? So I did a whole bunch of episodes with no audience whatsoever, me just talking right to the camera. And you can actually see some of those on my YouTube channel where I'm just talking right to the camera. But then little by little, as everything listed, people started showing up. And when people started showing up, I got them involved into the crowd. So I basically, at the time, we couldn't afford more than one camera. I couldn't afford more than one camera. So they were always off screen, people shouting at answers and stuff like that. So I did some shows at Paradise Studios. I did some shows at filmmaker Kevin Smith's podcast theater. First it was called Smodcastle in Leonardo, right down, literally a few doors down from when they filmed Clerks. There's a whole story. There's a whole story there we can talk about. And then we filmed it at Smodcastle Cinemas, and we did a few episodes over there as well, and with a gigantic crowd over there, and they were shouting out answers. So I wanted to create something where it wasn't just you guys just sitting there and just being quiet. I want to create a totally immersive, interactive experience where you can be part of the show, and I want you to be part of the show. That's where it came from.
That sounds tough to me. That what you've accomplished, just starting from a pandemic idea, and then now people are in it. Well, congratulations, eh?
Well, thank you. I'm a big believer in just getting it done. Just go out there and start. Usually, this much like how I invent sports, you start it, and the form and the format reveals itself to you through trial and error. I think the biggest thing that a lot of artists and even a lot of people have in life is that the word failure or the word fail has a really negative connotation. To me, it doesn't. If I fail, it just means I tried and I learned. I'm not afraid of just getting out there and just doing it. Okay, well, this worked, that didn't work. Let's try this time. Let's try that time. And it just forms itself. So if you're afraid to fail, you're never, ever going to grow either as an artist or as a person.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Those were deep words from Steve Strangio. Wow.
I'm going to make that
t-shirt. This feels like we're heading towards your podcast. Now, talking about your podcast, how did this evolve? I mean, what were the topics and themes that you started, and what were the ones that resonated with your audience the most? Walk us through the Strangio show.
I started podcasting, I think, among the first group of podcasters back in 2005, believe it or not. A friend of mine said, I'm working at this place, Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Can you come down and hang out? And I know I did a lot of radio before that. I was, as you can tell by the radio announcer voice that I have, I did a lot of radio. Isn't that amazing? So I brought that down. And we started doing several podcasts. We did I think 4 different podcasts, together. And it was also trial and error. The first time it didn't work, then we tried out some other people. For me, as we did more and more and more, the last one I did was during the beginning, the genesis of podcasting was around 2009 is when I stopped, but then I got back into it a few years later. A show called The After Party. Initially, I wanted to do it by myself, but then we brought in 3 other people, and we had this great rapport with each other. It just, at the time, nobody knew what to do with podcasting, I would try to tell people, I have this idea for, it's like a radio. I try to tell people what it was. Well, it's like a radio show, and they're like, well, how do we listen to it? Oh, well, you listen to it on your computer. And the guy's like, I got to sit by my computer and listen to your radio show? Well, no, you can download it to if you want. Because that sounds like too much work. And then the moment we stopped doing it, that's when the smartphone revolution happened.
Right.
And then everybody had a podcast, which I'm not against. I love that fact. Even though I trained, in communications at Hofstra University and NASA Community College, and I trained, and I was a professional at it. There was a time, I think it became a lot better for people who just always wanted to have their own voice heard. That allowed podcasting to happen. So I took a little break, and then when I came back, I just decided I needed some kind of outlet for me just to talk, just alone. I wanted to just focus on myself, because sometimes in the past, I would get involved with a whole group of people. A lot of infighting happens, because they want it done their way. It's much like how a band would operate, And then I needed to go off on my solo career, and I wished them all the best, and they went on to be super successful in their own things, but I wanted my own thing. So the Strangio Show was there just to kind of give me an outlet, to do things. And that led to Super Mega Trivia Slam and a few other podcasts. So that's where we are right now. Strangio Show is there, and I can always go back to it when I want to. The prevalent podcast I have right now is Super Mega Trivia Slam.